There's a certain kind of loneliness anime captures better than most any other medium. Not the dramatic, crushing kind you'd see in stories built around despair, but something softer. A quiet ache, a space in your chest you don't always have the words for. The kind of loneliness that shows up when you're surrounded by people but still feel slightly out of phase with the world. Anime doesn't lean on it to make you sad. It uses it to help you understand yourself. You see it in the way Frieren stares at memories that haven't faded for her, even when everyone else has moved on. Or how Violet Evergarden fills entire scenes with silence because she's still learning what emotion is supposed to feel like. Even in a silent voice, where the weight of guilt isolates Shoya long before anyone pushes him away, the story never treats his loneliness as a dead end, just as a starting point. And Shinkai's films might illustrate it best. His characters are always reaching, always searching, always almost connecting. Whether it's the distance between timelines in Your Name or the emotional gulf in 5 centimeters per second, Shinkai frames loneliness as something you move through, not something that defines you. Anime almost makes loneliness feel human instead of hopeless, something you can sit with, something you can learn from, and something that doesn't swallow the story whole. The real question is how all of these different series and films manage to portray isolation without making the entire tone feel heavy or depressive. What they're doing is surprisingly consistent. They make loneliness feel lived in, not catastrophic. They treat it like a landscape, or not a prison. And the way they do it is through visual language, the emotional pacing, and the small details that turn quiet sadness into something meaningful. In Mushishi, Ginko spends most of his life wandering alone. But the show never paints him as broken. His solitude feels purposeful, reflective, even peaceful. It gives him room to notice the world in a way no one else can. That's the key. Loneliness becomes a lens, not a burden. You see the same thing in Natsume's Book of Friends. Natsume isn't isolated because he's unlovable. He's isolated because he's different. But the series never uses that difference to sink him. Instead, it lets us watch how small encounters, gentle conversations, and unexpected bonds slowly reshape his world. His loneliness isn't erased, it's matched with understanding. Anime also uses environments to soften the emotional edges. A lonely character in a harsh, dark setting feels tragic. A lonely character in a warm or quietly beautiful one feels human. That's why Barakamon works so well. Seishu doesn't escape to an island because he's broken. He goes because he needs space to breathe. The sunlight, the ocean, the kids who refuse to let him isolate himself. They turn his loneliness into a place where growth can happen. And then there's how anime handles silence. Western stories often fear empty space. But series like Violet Evergarden and films like Suzume embrace it. Silence becomes an emotional truth. The pause before you step forward, the breath before you speak, the moment where you realize you're ready to change. These works treat loneliness gently because they understand something simple and honest. Loneliness is a moment, not an identity. A place you pass through and don't stay. And what pulls these characters out of loneliness isn't some dramatic turning point. It's the accumulation of tiny, almost forgettable moments. Anime handles connection the same way it handles isolation, quietly, patiently, and with an understanding that people rarely change all at once. March Comes Like a Lion might do this better than anything. Ray doesn't get fixed by a big realization. It's the small rhythms of life, a warm meal, a quiet conversation, someone remembering his name. Those all start to soften the edges around him. The show treats connection like a gentle current rather than a rescue mission. Hodoka and Hina don't instantly understand each other. Their bond forms through shared spaces, shared routines, the slow recognition of someone who sees the world the way you do. Even when the loneliness is still there, it stops feeling empty because someone else is living in that space with you. Anime is good at showing the half steps, the awkward beginnings, the hesitant conversations, the fleeting moments when someone's presence shifts the atmosphere just a little bit. It's not about solving loneliness, it's about showing how connection grows naturally when people allow themselves to be seen, even for a moment. And that's the real trick. Anime doesn't turn loneliness into a dramatic obstacle. It turns it into contrast. Without that quiet ache, these small acts of kindness wouldn't land the same way. A hand reaching out, someone sharing a meal, a character finally speaking a truth they've held inside. These moments feel bigger because they're built on silence. What makes it powerful isn't that the loneliness disappears, it's that the characters learn how to live without being defined by it. The more you look at it, the more you realize these stories aren't really about loneliness or even about overcoming it. They're about the quiet shift that happens when someone shows up in your world and reminds you that being alone isn't the same as being empty. Anime is good at holding that space. The space where you're still figuring things out, still growing, still learning how to stand next to someone without losing who you are. And maybe that's why these scenes hit so hard. They don't offer easy answers. They just show people changing slowly, almost accidentally, because life keeps giving them reasons to keep going. If you want a deeper dive into the emotional side of storytelling, how anime turns small moments into something meaningful, feel free to stick around for whatever I break down next. And if a specific scene or character helped you understand your own loneliness a little better, I would love to hear which one that is.